Just going to wait for a few people to get on, and then I'll introduce myself. All right, so hi guys, my name is Rachel, and I like to lift heavy things and put them down. And we got Kirsten on. Hello, Annie. Hello, Nick. All right, so today's topic is the importance of weightlifting and why student athletes should do it before coming to college. And so you guys can post your questions and we can wait for people to get on. I'm going to throw some quick facts at you. For the most part, coaches don't expect athletes to come in with knowledge. And if they do, they kind of just assume that all their athletes know the basic lifts and everything they need to know with the proper technique. And it's frankly, hi Annie. And frankly, it's kind of absurd that athletes are just put up on this pedestal that they either know or they know nothing. So here's a few reasons why you should get your basic knowledge in lifts, and kind of, if I can't convince you, hopefully the people in the chat can. So strength is the foundation to basically everything involving your sports performance. Most athletes tend to focus on the speed, agility, quickness, all the fancy ladder drills and whatnot, but that can only go so far if you don't increase your strength or in turn increase your capacity to do better, faster, stronger things. So when you focus too much on those things, you tend to forget about the major influencer, which is strength. So if you can gain your strength, you gain that speed, agility, quickness, and therefore more playing time, better stats, all that fun stuff that we love. And not only does it physically translate on the field, it mentally translates on the field. When you have the discipline to go into the weight room every freaking day and work and put your heart out and soul into that weight room for these gains, then you're going to see it on the field. Like when you have the mental capacity to give everything you got every single day that's not on the field, you're going to translate it on the field. You're going to be a better athlete because of it. And again, guys, feel free to throw questions down there if you have any, whatever you want, because it's kind of be a quick little intro into it. But I do have some basic tips and advice for people looking to get started, because especially high school athletes, they feel like there's not a lot of resources out there. So if you don't know where to start, there are resources out there. There are plenty of sports performance gyms popping up now. There's personal trainers at your own local gym, and you can even hop in to your high school weightlifting class. My absolute favorite memories of high school are that weightlifting class. I had so many supportive friends that helped me like get through and learn the right techniques and learn different programs for different sports. So your weightlifting coach, if you have one at that school, is going to be your best resource. Paige asked, how can you safely lift without coaches and other teammates around, especially when you're by yourself? That's a great question, Paige. And that was also another tip that I had. A lot of people have this fear of getting injured, especially lifting heavy weights by themselves. My best piece of advice, if there's no other coach or person around to spot you, probably shouldn't be maxing out that day. Probably should stay to the lighter lifts and focus on technique and control of the weight instead of seeing how heavy you can go that day. Yeah, and especially when you get to the collegiate level, you definitely want to talk to the strength and conditioning coach. Most colleges have them, so definitely reach out and be open and willing to learn from that coach, because each coach kind of has their favorite kind of lift. I know at my school, He absolutely loved deadlifts, and it's part of the reason I love deadlifts so much. But other coaches prefer hang cleans and pull-ups and other explosive things. So you're definitely going to see a wide variety of what they think is the best for you, and do your research on your own. Come to them, create that mutual respect, and you'll be better off for it. Another concern that high school athletes have, that I know I still have, and I've graduated college, you don't have the time or money to work out. Number one, you always have time. I don't care if you have to wake up at 4 a.m. and go run 5 miles or do whatever you got to do, you always find the time. 2, in terms of money, there's this wonderful thing called the internet, and it's free. Do your own research. Don't be afraid to go out there and ask questions on online forums and do your own research and find what works for you. There's so many programs out there now. It can kind of be a little overwhelming at times, but if you take the time and learn what you want to do, then you'll be golden. You'll actually have a foundation for your knowledge. And Paige is watching this all working out, so props to you, Paige. Janae asked, what is the wildest lift experience that you've had? Oh, this isn't going to be a good story. In high school, we were maxing out one day, and I asked a football player to help me get the bar off the rack for bench. And instead of waiting until I had a good grip, he just kind of let it go. And 135 pounds just came crushing on my chest. I screamed the loudest curse word you could possibly hear in a high school. And I thought that was the end of my life. So definitely make sure you have a good spotter. Lesson learned. But the weight room coach was there to help me out, and we fixed it all, and I can now lift 135 pounds on my own. Julius asked, how important is getting in the athletic training room to prevent injury? Do you think enough athletes in college take advantage of it? That is a really good point, Julius. The athletic training room is probably your biggest resource as a college athlete. And no, athletes don't take advantage of it enough. Athletic trainers don't like when you say it, but there is such thing as prehab and working those muscles out to prevent injury. And definitely if you have a previous injury from high school that needs to be taken care of, talk to your athletic trainers, work with them to make sure that you're not going into the weight room and eventually re-injuring yourself. So great question, Julius. Definitely is underutilized in the college realm and in the high school level. You have athletic trainers at the high school level too. They are certified. They know what they're doing. Thanks, Janae. I am okay. Where was I? All right. So if that actually brings me to my next point. If you think that you could possibly get injured during weightlifting, or you're using the wrong technique and that's somehow going to affect you poorly when you reach the college level, first off, listen to your body. If something's wrong, you're doing something wrong, your body's going to tell you, and it shouldn't be painful. If you feel tweaking your back from doing back extensions, you're either doing them wrong or you're doing them too much. Lay off, take a break, and trust me, your body's going to be better off for it. And if you have a fear of overtraining your muscles or you're working out too much, keep it simple, stupid. I mentioned earlier there's information overload if you're doing your own research on the internet, but mainly stick to your basic lifts. You're going to have your squats, your deadlifts, your bench. And your squats are probably the most popular. Please make sure you have a good body weight technique down before you go into that. I've dealt with a lot of back issues in my life, and the way that I was being taught to do a back squat wasn't working for me. And there's multiple ways to do a back squat. Surprising, I know. But make sure that you listen to your body, you keep it simple. If one way is not working, you have to do more research, get with a doctor, get with a trainer, and figure out what works for you. My personal favorite, deadlifts. Those are a great exercise if you want to increase your speed, agility, and quickness, because it works that posterior chain, aka your butt and your back. Yes, Sammy agrees, lifting should never be painful. So if you feel pain in your back during a deadlift, you're probably doing something wrong, or you're going too heavy. You're not ready for that weight yet. And again, bench, a lot of overhead sports don't do a barbell bench, but they will do some variation of a deadlift bench when you get to college. So make sure you know the different variations that you have for these different techniques. And loving the comments, guys. They're great. And if there's any more questions, I'd love to answer them. But that's basically all I've got. And if I haven't convinced you to go work out and hit the weight room, talk to Paige, because she's already doing what's right. So she knows what's up. And don't forget, guys, Locker Room Talk is one of the greatest resources you can have as a student athlete, both on and off the field of play. We have resources. We have weightlifting resources. We've actually done interviews with strength and conditioning coaches and former professional athletes on their weight training and their nutrition. So definitely check those out. And definitely check us out for those college coach ratings. It's our favorite part. Anyway, that's all I got. Peace out, Girl Scouts. And we're done.